Welcome, everyone, to the testing room where three of the gaming industry's best video game consultants who have never actually consulted on a video game bring you new topics each and every week. I'm Alex, aka the Gozfather, and man, we are 4 weeks down, 12 to go, baby.
Yeah, baby. Whole month down.
I'm Christian, aka Pseudo45.
I'm Preston, aka Funkadelic Jedi.
So I'll say the weirdest thing about this, start like with my thumb, just starting off on my thumb, like as we do now.
It's the thumb podcast.
The thumb podcast is like, I feel weird because like there are things I have to do every waking hour sort of stuff when it comes to stretches and whatnot, and then there are other things like I just have to do throughout the day, but like there's stuff that is very important to my rehab of my thumb, and it feel weird like right now I don't want to show it on camera because like my thumb's just kind of fat and gross. It's not, scar's really not there, but I don't need to pull it on camera. But instead, below camera,
I can't believe that we're gonna
like a massage, because I have to massage the scar tissue away. Like over the next couple of weeks, it gets harder, and then I have to massage it to where it like just goes away, right? So I'm just below camera, like massaging my thumb because I have to. It's very weird. It's very intimate. It's a very weird thing to be doing. I'm just like, oh, so good.
As long as it doesn't pop up in audio, like you readjusting your casts like it did last episode, it'll be great.
Oh, I mean, it will, because I didn't mute it. It will. So, dude, this is the stuff you live with. Sorry, man, I don't know what to tell you. Until we get bigger, we have a real producer producing all of our inputs individually at one time. This shit you get.
Whoa.
Fucking ouch. No, what I mean is like us three just talking, and you have like somebody else in the background
don't
doing
backpedal
stuff,
it now, man.
right?
He just hurt his feelings. Too late.
I'm just saying
episode,
that's what I'm saying. That's what you get. You're gonna get my pulling off the Velcro off each.
I just
think it's a little much to be body shaming your own thumb on this podcast. I don't know that we want to.
For all you've done,
start that press. Yeah, it's pretty rude.
After all it's done to me.
Yeah, considering you're the one who injured it.
That makes it sound dirty when you say that.
You're the one who injured it. Your thumb was just mind its own business.
I know. It gave up on me, fam.
And then you had to open up a can in a stupid way.
I know. It did just gave up on me. Said I can't handle this.
Never again.
I said I'll teach you. You really want to open this can stupid? All right, go ahead.
Never again. I am now out there to preach the good gospel of like how to not be dumb when opening shit in your kitchen. Like I want somebody's like, oh, I was cooking. My first question is like, what kind of can opener you got? How old is it? You sharpen those blades ever? What's going on?
You practice can safety over there, man?
Show me your technique. Let me give you some great pointers. Anyway, Preston, what we have over in the corner?
All right. Well, as per usual, this week the episode is sponsored by Comic Headquarters. I just like doing that now. If you're looking for a trade paperback or hardcover, the guys over at Comic Headquarters can help. Even if they don't have what you're looking for, they'll offer to order it in for you. Visit comichqstl.com today, where you can contact them and order that trade paperback or hardcover that you've been looking for. Or give them a call at 314-433-5449. Let them know that the testing room sent you, and you can get 10% off your order. I don't have any new comics to show right now. I am waiting on a shipment currently coming in. The sister is bringing some comics down, and we'll be all caught up then. Right now I'm just catching up on Sandman Universe, Constantine, Hellblazer, so that way I'm all caught up with the new stuff. But I will say this. I will say this on that one. He warned me. He's like, Spurrier wrote these ones, so he's like, I'm not a big fan of Spurrier. Apparently he did some shit with Black Knight that they didn't like. I'm reading through like the past ones. Spurrier is not the greatest writer in the world, especially for some characters that you might like maybe and know them before he writes them.
There is nothing more disappointing than reading an arc of something you really like and they change writers and you're just like, ugh, what is this? And it's not just writers. They do it with artists too. Like one of my favorite examples to go back to is a run of Batgirl Jake recommended to me, and it was like great for like 12 issues, and after 12 issues they changed the writers and the artists, and like everything about it just
Batgirl or Batgirls?
Worse. Batgirl.
Okay. Batgirl is good all the way through.
Is there a reason that they do that? It seems like stupid. It seems like a
Jake I say Jake could probably answer that better than us. I don't know. Like Josh Williamson did like Flash had a recent run when Flash Rebirth started in 2016. He wrote that to like 2020 or something. Took it all the way through like 50 issues and did like a year one run, which Flash hadn't had before, and did like the big 700, and then he left, and now other people are doing it. But that it's not always common that they're like those runs are that long. I mean, sometimes they can be 10 issues, sometimes they can be a long time. So I don't know why. It just happens.
Oh, no, so I understand switching up writers, like as you know, but like it seems weird to switch it up in the middle of an arc. For example, it'd be like or at least maybe I'm not understanding what you mean by arc correctly, but like.
Okay, so that's fair. So different people do things differently, right? I mean, if it's a monthly comic, then 12 issues is a year, and over a year you could have told the story you want to tell. A lot of things will do arcs in 5s or 10s. So like when you get a trade paperback, which is a collection of comics, it's usually 5 issues, and a lot of times, so for like Batman and Flash, like that's probably an arc, like a story arc. So
right.
like,
So, but you're saying like, okay. So for instance, like we'll do it like an anime thing. So like JoJo Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that like halfway through Part 1, Araki would just be like, I guess I'm done, and then somebody else would come in and be like, okay, I'll try to finish it, I guess.
It can. I mean, so usually people try and finish their arc.
Okay,
right?
so that's
because
okay.
comics are different time. Yeah, it can be different amounts of comics, but
I thought you were
yeah.
saying that people switch between arcs all the time, like they quit.
Oh, no, not a lot. Like usually they'll tell their story, but I mean, how long they say could like. They could say years, write mini arcs, or they could literally like write a 5-issue arc and be like, "I'm gone." It's
and then I'm done.
I don't know. I don't know if it's because of the nature. Again, we're probably talking. Jake's probably rolling his eyes.
Yeah, we'll wait for his
Like,
comment
this
for
idiot.
sure.
But I would assume it's because like comics are kind of like this is a weird thing to relate it to, but almost like wrestling, right? Like I feel like a lot of people are just kind of contractors. Like you have like, artists and writers that can bounce between wherever they want. They're like, hey, come do something here, and they do it, and then they're just like, okay, I want to go do.
Hire them for 10. Find
That
out
I
if they
think
like
makes
it,
sense.
Don't want to go,
If you're-
but
if
go with
you're-
the writers.
If you're hiring
Yeah.
in between arcs or whatever, that I think makes sense. That doesn't. I'm not confused at all. I thought you had said that like people will quit in the middle of the stories they're trying to tell, and then they'll get replaced. And I'm like, why would somebody do that?
No, and that was probably on me. I probably said arc with a Batgirl and meant like through the run. It was like a 24 issue run or something, and like 12 they changed everything
for
up.
the title of Batgirl. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It got real weird.
Okay.
but yeah, comichqstl.com. Hit them up. Other than
Where I go
that,
for all of my comic needs.
yeah, we did get one comment on the YouTube. I forgot to mention this last time. We're doing Star Wars Rogue Squadron 3D on Twitch.tv on Sundays, on Star Wars Sundays. We actually finished up Rogue Squadron 3D this past week. So by the time
Nice.
this episode is up, we will have both those playthroughs on the YouTubes.
Is 3D in this one actually like? Is it the first time they moved from a 2D game to a 3D game? Is it actually in 3D, or is it just the third in a series and they pulled a Kingdom Hearts and named it 3D?
It's actually a 3D. It's just they couldn't pull
Okay.
the Star Wars Squadron 64 title because that's what it's a port of.
Okay.
So they named it Star Wars Rogue
Sure.
Squadron 3D to give its own name. It's not as... It's about as good as the original 64 one, but there's some weird things with the port. Me and Christian have mentioned it before, but you know the enemy and your also companion AI of all the different ships like to do a little dance while they're sitting there flying around, so it's a lot of fun. It's nice to see.
Harder to hit, stick and move.
So that's the issue is
Yeah.
that so these guys don't have like super big hitboxes because there is a little bit of help with the aim assist. So they don't get like giant hitboxes so that if you are slightly off, you'll still hit. So when they're going like that, the hitbox moves. I've noticed it to where like I'm sitting there trying to get down on one guy and it's like, I'm like, I want to hit you. I just want to hit you so bad, but I can't. For the most part,
down on
you
that
don't.
one guy.
Yeah, for the most part, you don't notice it too much, or it doesn't really affect it too much. I think there was one guy. There was like a boss battle, like the only boss battle you get in the entire game, and it comes down like in what looks like an Imperial shuttle.
Christian. I'm sorry.
What? I wasn't paying attention.
I know.
Oh, yeah. It was. You said something about getting down on against Suppress, or Alex goes, yeah, man,
said
I
it
get
too.
it. It's tough to get down on that one guy.
Oh,
You said,
okay.
yeah, when you're trying to get down on one guy. I
And so I
understand.
didn't even, and it wasn't even, I didn't, I wasn't even like, I like chuckled at it and I was like, yeah. And then I see Alex start to crack himself up. Like he's like he got, I was like, oh, that one really tickled him. And I keep looking down, he's still laughing about it. So then that got me going.
Sure. Comment was on the first part 1 of 2 that we put up there. This is from Kupanik. It is, the music is so good in this game. The sound fonts are used to their maximum potential. And yeah, they do a decent job with the video game soundtrack, not just pulling a straight rips from John Williams stuff, but just making their own based off of whatever sound they could use for 64 at the time. So, yeah, it's good. I appreciate the comment. We've almost reached 1,000 views on that playthrough so far. It's nice.
I
1,000?
love that you just said, yeah.
Whoa.
Crazy.
We're at 950 something right now. Yeah.
God damn. Is that our most viewed video of like all time? I think it is.
No, I think there's a side quest one that Zach was a part of. I think that one reached over 1,000. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
Preston
every
has
once in a
pulled
while.
his Snap audience into it.
Yeah, no.
I like how
Bring those
I like
dirty
how when
snappers.
it comes to the music, you literally are just like, oh, I mean, credit to these game developers who like really just took control of, didn't just rip off John Williams, really took control of everything the 64 is capable of, rather than like, oh, they probably weren't allowed to use that music, so
No,
they just had to do
they
with
use that
whatever
music.
could.
They just made the version of it with
Okay.
their sound engines, if you will.
with that 64 sound card that's on there.
Yep. So, it's good. It's a fun game, and I have decided that
Nice.
I got myself a component HDMI select switcher, so that way I can convert it over. Converter, not switcher. And we're gonna hit up with the next one. So we'll start part 1 the Sunday after this episode releases. So the next coming Sunday after this episode releases, we'll start Rogue Squadron, Rogue Leader, Rogue Squadron 2 for the GameCube, and we'll be playing through there. I've tested it out. Everything works fine. So we'll be getting into that next time. We're going to take a little break. Sister's in town, so I'm not going to be streaming the morning my sister's here.
Which will not matter to the people.
Will not
listening
matter
to
to the people
this,
listening to
because they
this.
will have not
Correct.
listened.
Indeed. But you can check out part 1 and 2 of the
Instead, they're
first
just going to
game.
show up to this. They're just going to show up to this to leave angry comments to be like, "Why the f were you not streaming on Sunday?"
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone leaves those comments. We're fine. But yeah, it's part 1 and 2 will be up on the YouTube, so youtube.com/thetestingroom. And you can check them out there, as long with all of our other fun goodies. But yeah, other than that, no other comments.
All right. Well, with that, then let's dive into the weeks. Who wants to start things off?
I can
I'd
start.
go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Rock, paper, scissors. Roshi
Nope.
and Bo.
Nope.
I said go ahead. Go ahead.
But he said go ahead as well at the
No,
same
I didn't.
time. Oh,
I
did
said
you
I'll
say
go.
I'll go?
I said I'll go.
Yeah. So go fuck yourself.
Shut up and listen to my week.
No prisoners. No prisoners. Christian's gonna do the nice thing. Oh, go ahead. He's like, oh, I'm going.
Listen, I
Yeah.
just finished a whole 8-hour day of me doing everything that everyone wanted me to do and saying the right things. I get to say what I want right after my workday, okay? Okay. We're on the same page? Great.
This episode we get canceled.
Yeah, I can just hang up on this Discord call.
Yep, later. Yeah, so snapping like usual. Nothing too new to report other than new season's coming out soon. It's going to be taking care of all the other Black Order characters. So we're going to get a bunch of those. I think Empty Maw is the only one that got released right now as far as like pre this month. So we filling out the roster of the Black Order characters. And yeah, looks pretty good. I'll report back when that actually happens, which will happen out later this week. But snapping's always good. Like I said, finished Rogue Squadron 3D. Great game. Loved that game back in the day. Like one of the last, I think it's the last level, it gives you the V-Wing. And the V-Wing looks fantastic. So this is a V-Wing before they did, I forget, they did a new V-Wing. I want to say it was in Rogue One maybe, but they changed the V-Wing up when they did the movies. But in the comic books and in this video game, the V-Wing is in there. And they have cluster missiles, which is nice. But I found the bonus upgrade while playing through the levels for Seeker cluster missiles, which are really super awesome. So it goes out like in a spread like that, and it comes out, and then all of a sudden it just goes whoosh, and they all start diverting and going at other enemies. It's very satisfying. They don't give you enough of them, but it's very satisfying. And other than that, I've only really played one game. I played a lot of this game, and that is Persona 3 Reload. Your boy loves this game. I'm so happy and so excited I got this game. It looks better than Persona 5. It's doing everything you want a Persona game to do. Now, that being said, this is Persona 3, so it's not like a direct sequel to any of these as far as like adding on to a lot. It gives you a lot of quality of life stuff in there. Like Christian mentioned, like it kind of took away something in there. I forget what it was exactly, but I don't notice the difference because I never played
The
Persona.
fatigue system. Yeah.
Fatigue system. So it's probably for the best. But yeah, I've been going through Tartarus. Tartarus is kind of like the Memento of
Yep.
the other games, but it's kind of like your main vein. You're not going into mind palaces in this game, so it's not like you're going into mind palaces, changing somebody's heart. What happens is you show up in this area where you're now going to school, and as you show up, you reach the midnight hour, which is midnight, and then that is longer than the usual hour, according to their world, and everyone except for a few select, special people just turn to coffins. And after a while, some people start having this I think they call it apathy syndrome sickness or whatever, to where they just turn into zombies, kind of and they're standing in the middle. Like, you'll be going through a normal day, and there'll be just some dude just kind of hanging out with his head down, be the little murmur coming off of his character, and these people are sick and they can't be fixed essentially. So you're going through Tartarus, you're going through defeating shadows, and you reach kind of a brick wall at some point. There's little mini bosses in there once you reach certain levels of Tartarus. And at the next full moon, that is when you go through a story beat. So my first story beat was the subway, the railway cart. That is being taken over by some shadows. Normally when this midnight hour happens, it all power goes out. So there's nothing can run, anything like that. But the shadows take over the railway, and they start the railway while you're on it. You have to defeat the one at the very end before it crashes into some stuff. So that's kind of the only different thing outside of Tartarus that you will kind of interact with the shadows with so far, at least. I'm about 15 hours in, so maybe they change it up. I haven't played this game personally, but I do love 4 and 5. And this is hitting
That
all...
sounds pretty far for a game to settle. 15 hours?
Yeah, I mean, it's about an 80-hour game, so I'm about a little over an eighth the way through. So it's, depending if other parts go faster, I'm not sure. I haven't looked up to see how many levels of Tartarus there are. I'm at 40-something in the tower. But some of those you can get past pretty quickly, and sometimes I was getting close to the end towards... I'm breezing through enemies. I'm like, okay, I really don't need to grind through here. I'll just either run past or sneak past some of these shadows and kind of get to the end point. The last mini-boss I fought was a big pain in the ass because it has no weaknesses, and it finds out what your weaknesses are at the beginning of the match, so therefore it's just going to hit you with weaknesses nonstop. So I finally got a hold of that one. I got a fourth member of the party, so I can do 4 people going after the person. And one of my guys was just tossing up defense buffs the entire time. One person was healing or resurrecting people, and the other 2 were just hitting them as many times as we can and watching that little health bar get whittled down. So style is there to the 10s. It's doing what Persona does. It's got a very cool water effect because the color in this one's blue. And the music in it is phenomenal. I think I mentioned when I first played it, I was a little overexcited. But I'm like, oh, this might be the best music in all the Persona games. I went through the other Persona soundtracks that day. I'm like, let me just get a little refresher. And there are some pieces that I think are a little bit better, but overall, it's not my favorite music, but it's still a banger of a soundtrack. Slight jazzy, poppy with a little bit of hip hop tossed in there. It's phenomenal. So I'm going through there, building up my links. The one thing I thought was a little different than the other ones too is that a lot of your main party members aren't the ones you build social links for. You have one social link for your party, which is the organization is called SEAS. Can't remember what that abbreviation stands for off the top of my head right now, but essentially you are a group of people who are going out investigating these shadows and finding out what's going on with the world and trying to heal the world essentially at that point, try to figure out and kind of fix it. The gun thing is in there. They mentioned to you right at the first, they're not real guns, but it still can be unsettling if you are someone who's been exposed to someone or knew someone who has committed suicide with these guns. It's a big trigger. They put a big sign at the very front of the game. Oh yeah, there's violence and humor, and also self-harm is also kind of a thing in here as well. So it's, as someone who has experienced that, or has not experienced that, but has very close family members and friends who have had this happen to them, it is odd. I feel like they could have possibly taken this out. If this was a sequel kind of thing, they would have never done it. But because it was a part of that old game and a pretty big part of how you summon Persona. Every time you do a Persona move, gun goes up to the head, it goes psh, and a big splash as far as not your blood or anything like that, but a kind of graphic comes out. So one of the really cool parts about that kind of graphic is if, like, I think it's the first time you hit a weakness or the first time you hit a weakness with a character or something along those lines, but it does more than just your usual, hey, I'm going to summon my persona, it's going to do the attack. It does this really cool zoom out. There's like this thin widescreen behind you of just like the person's face. And as soon as you hit the trigger to summon your persona to do the attack, it shatters and goes forward. It's a super fucking cool effect. But I adore this game. I'm 15 hours in. It's only been out for a couple days. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I'm main veining it for a while. Every once in a while, I might jump into the Pokemans or maybe a little bit of Baldur's Gate or maybe a little bit of Tekken. But for the most part, if no one wants to play a game with me, I'm playing Persona. For sure. But yeah, other than that, that's all I got for you. It's been mainly Persona for me outside of Star Wars Sundays, which is on Twitch TV / the Testing Room Pod on Sundays.
Okay, I can go then.
Yeah.
So I finished up Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth today.
Got through it.
Yeah. So got the 100% on that. So all side quests, all the floors of the dungeon, like the Infinite Dungeon or the final dungeon. There's 2 actually. I got those done. Story, all of Kiryu's sort of, like, they're calling it like life links, like it's a memory thing that I won't go too far into. It's like Memoirs of a Dragon is what it's called. It's very good. Did those, all the mini games, shit like that. There's not much I can say, obviously, I mean, the game's just out.
Do you
so
like
I don't
it
wanna spoil
more than the first Like a Dragon game?
You mean 7?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason I say this is because all of the Yakuza games have been called Like a Dragon in Japan.
Fair
we
enough,
just started
yeah.
getting that title in.
Well,
for
one of the
7.
listeners and friend of mine is Steph, and she was asking me, like, is this the right one? She's like, it doesn't say 7 on it, but it's Like a Dragon. It's the one right before this one. I'm like, yes. And I confirmed it with Christian just to make sure, but it can be a little confusing.
Yeah. Because in Japan, all of them have just been called Like a Dragon, and then they've just went on like that. But for here, for 0 through 6, they were called Yakuza, and then for 7 and 8, they just put the titles together. And to be fair, I think Like a Dragon is a better title anyway.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So, but yeah, I can't say anything about the story, obviously, because it's new and I don't want to spoil it. And obviously, Alex hasn't gotten a chance to play it, so I won't go into it. I will say there's one thing that I didn't get into last week that I wanted to say is just like I think it is really great how much attention to detail and how much stuff ties in, and which is why I think that it's important that people at least have an idea of past events. I'm not, you have to go play them, obviously, but knowing who these characters are and why they're important really fucking pays off. Because, so like, for the super moves, like every sort of job, because it uses the job system from Dragon Quest, because Ichiban is obsessed with Dragon Quest and all this other shit. So, all of the each character gets their own job. Well, like for Kiryu in the game, his job is just called the Dragon of Dojima, and you can switch him to other jobs if you wanted to. There's absolutely zero reason to, because honestly, if you could make everybody his job in this game, it would break it's so broke. He's very powerful, but every job gets their own like super moves, right? They're called like essence moves, but they're super moves, and each class gets 2 or 3 of them, and they all are either specific to the job, or in Ichiban and Kiryu's case, they're specific to the character. And like, so for example, Kiryu's first one, I won't spoil the last one because it's cool, but the first one that you get is just called Essence of Remembrance, and you're like, what's that? So you click it, and it cuts all the way back to Yakuza 1, where Kiryu gets introduced, where a bunch of people run up on him, and he's like, if you want to die, step the fuck up, and then he like fucking punches him, and does that, and then it cuts through like all the different styles, and has like the breakdown of like, so because they used to show like images and associated with like an animal for his different styles, right? So like, there was the dragon, and there was the koi fish, like the thing, and then there was like I can't remember the other one. There's another one, and it would do that, right? And so for like his different combat styles for the original game, And I think we talked about it during the demo, but one of his other super moves is like you can they're called like link moves, but you just press them with the R2 button, and you can use them once once they're charged up. They're like think like overdrives from Final Fantasy. And Alex, I know you saw this through the demo, but it's the one where Kiryu sort of breaks the rules of the game, and he can start fighting like he would in the other Yakuza games. So like, it's really cool because you're going around and you're using active combat against people in a turn-based game that can't do anything. So they're just sitting there getting whooped on. And I wanted to record this clip, but I knew that it would just be way too spoilery because it involves a character that was in the series for a long time. But there's an old person that asks Kiryu for a fight, like one more fight, basically. And I just happen to have this super move queued up, and so I'm sitting there, and it's like the fight starts, whatever, and everyone's like, even Kiryu's like, oh man, this is gonna be a rough one. Like, this guy, he might be old, but I can tell he hasn't lost any of the fucking power or whatever he's had ever since I met him forever ago. Blah blah blah. As soon as I press that button, I just start beating the shit out of this guy, and he can't do anything, and he's just taking all these punches, and it's so fucking funny. And so the final start, and the guy was like, come on, give me your best shot, and it's just like bam, 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 like just like taking all these shots. It's so funny. But yeah, it's a great game. It's a very emotional ride, but it's very good. I'm very excited for Alex to get to it, for one, because I know he's going to be playing it like a madman once he's able to. I did try, honestly. I tried to see if there was a way to use it mouse only, because it really is just like the problem is that in combat you can. It's all because it's just menus, right? So it's just clicking and doing those things. It's very simple. The problem is that I could not figure out a way to get movement to go mouse only. So I was like, all right, well, there's just nothing I can do here. It's WASD for the keyboard, and that's the problem.
The good news, I've been using that with Final Fantasy. The good news is that I may be able to use my thumb for certain things, for like keyboard and stuff, in just a few weeks, between 6 and 8 weeks. So I might be able to come out of this thing completely to start to use it. Won't be able to lift stuff, but might be able to use it as my hand allows. Yep. If my hand allows. So
you could do that,
I think I'm actually closer to that than the whole thing.
Or if you do have the ability to do WASD, then you can play the game right now.
I can do WASD. I just hate it. I honestly, it's less about not liking keyboard and more about just trying to be conscious to not use it, right?
Yeah.
Like the more I use these fingers, the more, even in this cast, for the viewers or for the listeners, I'm up in the camera, they can see my hand. The more I use my fingers, the more I want to use my thumb, right? So it's more about just trying to not, in general.
Yeah.
But there are times I have to use WASD to get out of things quickly and I have to tab to bot. I've been using the keyboard and mouse. It is what it is.
Fair enough.
Well, that's just letting you know. But either way,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. There's not much more to say about it that I can't say that's not a spoiler, but it's great. And then I played a little bit of Tekken 8 for these guys, just like literally right before this podcast started. I don't have any thoughts on it. It's great.
Looks good.
It looks pretty.
Looks good, and I think I like the way they simplified the combat system this time around. So that it's in line with how fighting games have been trending. Like Guilty Gear started it. Street Fighter is way more simplified now. It has all these different simplified options. Same thing with Tekken. So all that's great. The tutorial was super helpful. But yeah, it's good. I'm trying to think if there's anything. Oh, so I didn't watch it, but I told you guys about this, but I never brought it up on the podcast. So my wife has never seen
My
any
wife?
of the Lord of the Rings movies, and so and obviously that's one of like my favorite. It probably is my favorite thing of all time.
Surprised you haven't talked her into it yet.
My dog watches them every time we go to trivia, at least one of them. So my dog has actually seen Lord of the Rings more times than Alexa.
Yeah. So we talked, and the decision that we came to was it would be fun to do just a full ass marathon of all the extended editions. So we did those just back to back to back on Sunday.
Food?
Yeah, we did food. We cooked, made some snacks, did like cookie. It was a good time.
It's good. It's a good day.
Yeah, it was a great day. I enjoyed it very much.
I bet.
She liked the movies. She thought they were good all the way. I shouldn't say all the way up till she liked them. She thought they were all very good. She was not happy with the final ending of Return of the King. And spoilers, I guess, for those who don't know. But when Frodo sails off to the Undying Lands or whatever, and he goes with Bilbo and the rest of them, she was upset that Frodo did not stay and be friends with the four people, and like everybody was just a big, happy, friendly people, and then he left. And I was like, well, like it's, and she's like, I get it, like I understand,
He's been through some shit.
yeah, like she totally, but she's just like, I would have liked to have known, or I would have liked to have had the feeling that they all like every week, just like all four of them plus their families got together, hung out, and had a dinner, and just were like, we're the best friends till the end. And I was like, yeah. Well, that didn't happen. But the three of them probably did. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. To be fair, the other three of them seem to get along better anyway. Frodo's kind of an emo kid, so.
Yeah. I did say, one thing is that she said we were right when Fellowship starts, and, you have the close-up of Elijah's face when he's talking to Gandalf. She was like, God, he might have the biggest and bluest eyes of any human on the face of this earth. And I was like, yeah, he definitely has some bug eyes. He
Big
has
fucking
like
eyes.
yeah, he does. And then also there's the scene when when he gets all like possessed or a little bit, when he's like talking and he's like, oh, they're here, and then it's like the fucking everyone's like, oh God, and the rings talk to or whatever, and his eyes are all crazy. I was like, most people when they're in like iconic roles like this, it's very hard for them to like get movies outside of this, right? Like when they're in that. And I was like, I like to think that weird fucking face he made right there is what made him the villain in Sin City.
No. No, that was probably the movie with him and Macaulay Culkin where he played a creepy little fucker the entire time. That probably did it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Sin City was between those, right? I think it was like coming out of 1 and 2 fame, but before the third movie.
I think so.
We got
Yeah.
Sin
around
City.
that time.
Sin City, God, I think it's old.
It's a good movie. Well, from what I remember, yeah.
Yeah. But so it was cool. It was a great time. I was very happy. I got to go through them all. It had been a little bit since I had done I had done Fellowship in Two Towers relatively recently, but it had been a little while since I went through Return of the King. The only thing that I will say, going back to the Return of the King Extended Edition, is I wish they would have been able to do more with the mouth of Sauron or whatever, the little creepy
sure.
fucking weird dude at the end. Because he's
His-
cool as shit.
His makeup is cool as hell.
Yeah, like the whole is cool, but like in the movie that he only shows up and talks shit for 5 minutes and then gets fucking
His
his
head
head
cut off,
chopped
man.
off. So
Yeah.
they would have been cooler to see some more stuff like that. But that's whatever.
So we watch we watch those movies a lot, but like those movies are also like among our Christmas films. Like everybody has those movies you watch
Yeah.
during the holidays. You just check them off the list. That's one of them. And again, like I use that guy as a perfect example for what we had talked about a couple weeks ago, but also I talked about with Allie, which is I hate people that write villains that are evil for evil's sake with no motivation. Like the best villains, one of the best examples of a villain in any media in a long time is Kingpin from the Netflix Daredevil series, because you see him as a human being. But I told Allie, I was like, what is that the mouth of Sauron, like what is his life when he clocks out for the day? Because you can't be evil all the
Doesn't.
time. So is he just like does like is he just home with like his wife, his little kids? Like, do they have faces? Or like, does he clean up his face and clean off all the black stuff
Just a
off of his
demon
teeth?
monster
Like,
person.
what's going on?
He lives the same life that everybody else in Mordor lives, which is just like bad. It is. They're all jobbers. Every single one of them is just evil.
Yeah,
for
but
evil's
he got a
sake.
nicer, fancier
But
place because
even-
he's the mouth of Sauron. But
Right, but even people in the worst situations find time to laugh, right? Like seriously, you could be the worst. Everybody's gonna find time to laugh just for a moment. even
Yeah,
if
he
it's
goes
just,
to the torture
there
chamber and laughs
Yeah, he
at
probably
all the
just
fleeting.
tortures people.
So like, what is? What you think? All like him and his buddies get around, they like grab a Mordor High Life over there and just walk over, like, oh, let's go watch
Yes.
whatever
It's the
elf
only
be tortured. Oh,
entertainment,
ha, ha, so funny, and then like sad again.
Yeah.
He's never sad.
And how does he even see?
Also,
He
he's
doesn't
not
have
sad.
eyes. He doesn't even
I'm
have
sure he
eyes.
just
Why is
has
he
like
watching it?
evil vision.
He just touches and feels in
He's
his
the
hands.
mouth,
somebody's
so
being
he just
tortured,
uses
and
the eye of
he's
Sauron.
like, don't worry, I just want to
Yeah.
feel your pain because I can't see it.
He just needs to hear it.
Yeah.
I just need to know, what's that life? Bad
I
can't
I don't know
always
if
be
you want to
bad.
know that life.
And also,
I'm
it's not
gonna
anything you
write
get.
I'm gonna write a sprawling fanfic that just every issue tackles the life of a villain. What do they do in their downtime?
Do a spin-off comic book series of just the life of the mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish you nothing but success in that endeavor.
The mouth raking his lava rocks outside, right? Like
Yeah.
beating the dust off.
I love
the
the idea that
rugs.
you believe that, even though we know what it looks like in there. I love that you believe that there's like fucking people with houses and picket fences
He's got
and
a fucking
subdivisions,
Zen
and
garden he
they're like,
fucking maintains.
There's a cul-de-sac that a couple people live on, and like, they're like, oh, gotta get that lava out of our backyard. Fuck, it's crazy. Mount Doom back there.
Yes, exactly, right?
Yeah, but that's
You
not
don't
real.
always
No,
you
not
don't always get
exactly.
To choose where you live. Sometimes you're born in it, right? Like, what if he just has this ancestral that's been passed down? It's like a castle on the hill. He's got some little orc minions running
pissed
around.
off at his
But
neighbor
you,
because he let
what's
the
he doing?
Balrog
He's
shit
like
in his
walking.
yard.
He's yelling at the orcs like, knock the dust off your boots before you. Like, pick up your ale cups before
But-
you just walk out of
but
the
you
room.
know-
Like, blow out the candles.
You
to
know that's not what it
save on
looks
them
like.
burning down. What do you mean?
But because we know what it looks like in
I just
Mordor.
described
It's
what
just
it
a
looks like.
black
We see-
desert. That's it.
But there's people and there's castles, right? And there's living. They wear clothes.
There's not.
They drink. We see it when they try and go in the back. When Frodo gets stabbed by Shelob, right? And then he gets wrapped
Yeah.
up, and they take him. They take him to that tower, right? Clearly,
But that's not a
there's-
castle. You can
there's
see it is
people.
just a town. There's
Sorry, he's
there's
an
little
out-
battlements.
Sorry, the mouth has his own little battlement, right? His own little like Mordorian slaves running around cleaning
cannot.
stuff up. And keep in mind,
Anyways.
the mouth is only one part of Sauron's whole thing, right? He's got a hand. He's got a whole bunch of other stuff. Like,
Uh-huh.
what do they all do? Do they all get together and chit chat? Do they kick back and talk about the good times before
I think
he
you're-
was
no,
like
you-
had
I
his hand
think-
chopped off and killed? And like,
I think
what
you're
they're gonna do when he
assuming-
comes back into power.
I think it's bold of you to assume that Mordor is subscribing to an 8-hour 5-day work week.
Christian, this is just the wine talking.
I know it is a dictatorship there.
So
they
you're
just
you're,
work
so
all the
you're
time.
saying like, even in North Korea, people don't work all the time. You can't
Yeah.
do it. It's impossible.
Yeah, and yes, but that's not. But
What's he think about when he goes to take a plopsies out back, or he goes to take a tink tink? Like what's going?
I think you're assuming that's bold of you to assume that they even have reproductive or any sort of organs like that. I bet he
Drops
doesn't.
white lies.
He may. I mean, the only thing we know how he reproduces is the those orcs that come out of the ground. But otherwise,
Uruk-hai.
Right, so it looks like they don't need
Well,
any sexual organs
I
whatsoever.
don't know. Well, the orc, sure, but he's not an orc.
Yeah, he clearly just dropped out of or came out of the ground, man. I don't know.
One troll had a donger.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. It saddens me.
First of all,
also
Preston,
don't
there
wanna
is
know
no
these
donging
things.
showed in those movies, just so we're clear.
They are in Preston's version that he downloaded.
I know, seriously. Yeah, that's not real. I don't know what LimeWire cut you grabbed,
Next
but
thing
you
you're
need
gonna
to,
tell me
you
that
need
the
to give
cats
it back.
don't have buttholes in the movie Cats.
Anyways, it was a great time rewatching these movies.
I want to hear
that
Jake's
was
take
it.
on this. I feel like Jake. There has to be. Jake, you have to want to know. You have to want to know what's going on in Mordor. I like to believe they're just like, man, when Sauron comes back, things are gonna be different, guys. We're gonna get beyond these walls, right? We're gonna have control of the land. Like Sauron's bringing it back.
No.
Yeah, all it is we just need to. It's like the Zerg. We just need to spread the goop further so that we can keep walking on it.
Peter Jackson, give me that movie.
I don't
Give
think
me
it's in
that
his
movie
hands.
short.
Yeah, and you certainly won't get it.
I want it. I want it.
Yeah, that's not happening. It did make me. I will say, by the end of it, I was sitting there and I was like, man, I want more Lord of the Rings stuff that's good. Like, I was thinking about it and I was like, because the idea of the Gollum game that came out that was shitty, I was like, the premise isn't bad. Like, the premise could be good, but they just fucked it up.
That's the last character in that whole
The
series that I
Shadow-
care to follow along their story. Like, there's so many other cool characters in that show, a movie.
To be fair,
I loved the Shadows the games. Those I thought were fantastic.
yeah, but look at what happened with the second one was less well received than the first one because WB had to WB it up. They're like, what if we had more microtransactions and we locked all this content behind all these other different purchases and we made it so that we could fucking let you purchase different warrior things to have like your little minions or whatever and go do this instead of just focusing on, I don't know, making a good game. Like that first one's fantastic, but it's like, and the second one's still good. It's just people came away from it being like, well, WB's doing what WB does. There's nothing, for it, and they do it with all their fucking games.
I wish we would have had 3 other good movies. Like, we watched the Hobbit stuff because we own those extended editions as well, and like, there are so many good things to pick out of them. Like, there's a lot of fun to be had in them, but like the 3 things that really kill me, or I guess the 2, but whatever, like, is the fitting characters in that don't belong, like fitting Legolas in for no reason, right? And like like shoehorning that stuff in to be like, make it a thing, like go find the last king of Gondor. Is like, what's his name? Beagles by Strider. Like, what? Vomit. Thank you for that line. It was awful, right? So like that was annoying, and then creating characters that didn't exist to put in there just because it was annoying. But like the biggest egregious part to me, and it was all due to the studio not giving Peter Jackson time, was the overuse of CG. Like, not having Bolg and the other one's name I can't remember, but Bolg and the other baddie, they're both CG, and then the Battle of the Five Armies being entirely CG, and it's like you can tell such a stark quality difference between like the Battle of Helm's Deep and the Battle of the Five Armies.
The problem,
or just, like, when you see, it's just so bad.
Yeah, the problem is that's why all 3 of those movies still hold up. Like when you look at, if you go watch Lord of the Rings, there's only one part that does not hold up still, and it is the end of Return of the King when Frodo and Sam are running into Mount Doom. You can very much tell that it is like a computer generated, like it tries to scroll to make it look like, oh look, we're zooming out and it's 2 people. You can very much tell that they placed 2 people and then shot them running across a miniature kind of thing. It does not look good, but other than that, there's literally nothing else in those movies that does not hold up. Like even like every single thing that Smeagol's in, he still looks good because they were able to give him the time to actually do and have Andy Serkis be there and be in the suit and do the whole thing. Like, honestly, it just shows that Peter Jackson should have sued them for the Hobbit movies too.
Yeah, it was dumb. It was like that lawsuit finished with Warner Brothers getting the rights, and as soon as they did, they're like, we wanted these movies out 2 years ago, and this lawsuit took up the 2 years, but now that we have it, pop it out in the next like 12 months. You're just like, okay.
Yeah.
And this is the result. Anyway, welcome to the Testing Rooms Lord of the Rings pod. So, did you do anything else this week?
No, that was it.
No? All right. My week is short. I continued to play Final Fantasy since last we talked. Actually, I don't think we played that much Final Fantasy since last we talked because it was late last week, early recording this week, and I didn't play too much over the weekend. The one thing I did do this is a little just peek into our personal lives. I acquired a Apple Vision Pro. I'm very excited to play with this little thing that's beside me over here. And the one thing, there's so much amazing tech in it. I'm not going to go into it. Go watch a review if you really care that much. But the one thing I got working was Steam Link in this stupid thing, and it's incredible.
Playing
and
things
it's,
on
like,
a
flawless.
110-inch screen.
Oh, like 200 feet.
Yeah.
Like, you could, the equivalent of like a 200-foot screen. Like, I can sit here and just like do this number, which doesn't make any sense to me. But more importantly than anything is being able to, I can pinch and I can grab my screen in front of me and just walk it through the house and then just drop it wherever I want, right? So here's the thing. I'm not really playing things like Final Fantasy is not in Steam.
Yeah.
Right? So I can't play Final Fantasy. So I'm a little limited to what I can do with it. But maybe I'm going to look for a couple of games that are keyboard and mouse and be able to take that with me other places. I'm excited to try this tech. It is one of those things where I don't think I've experienced a piece of technology that changes your perception of what tech can be since like the very first time I used an iPhone. Because before that I had like a BlackBerry, like a very simple BlackBerry, right?
I'm still trying to. I always forget every single time until you say something about how you used to be a BlackBerry owner, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
And before that, I had a Palm Trio, dude. I was like, okay. Also, you were Windows Phone, so let's not get on our high horses too much, please.
That Windows Phone at least was better than a fucking BlackBerry.
I'm just saying.
First, the only people who owned Blackberries outside of you were people who did cocaine and tried to sell stocks. That's it.
Those guys are buying
probably
NFTs
doing
right now.
cocaine while
Yeah.
selling stocks.
Yeah.
But I say all of that to say, like, my Steam Deck, when I can use both of my opposable thumbs, will still be something I take with me and play on the go, right? Because of its capabilities. But not every app works on this Vision Pro, right? Like, you had to allow it. And Valve was just like, check, use the iPad app on there. We don't care. Like, so all that to say, I'm excited to see what I can do as, like, in the next 6 months or 8 months. Like, what does Valve allow? What does Apple allow? So, like, Resident Evil being on iPad. Like, can I just play it on the Vision Pro? It's just, the capabilities are really, really cool, right? Being able to have my Steam Deck when I'm sitting downstairs, because I'm not going to use this thing with my wife, because that would be weird, right? Just, like, looking at her with goggles, that's dumb. But, like, there are times just to wonder what gaming is going to be like in this thing. It's not going to be like a PlayStation VR. It's not going to be a Vive, right? I don't think I'm going to have hand motion controls. I'm going to have to use a controller whatever I do, but the capability of doing that and everything else is pretty cool. So I've had a lot of fun with that. But that's it. Final Fantasy for me. It was intriguing, and it did pique my interest for Christian to say that Infinite Wealth is mouse and keyboard.
I'm telling you, it very much is.
That is intriguing, and it makes sense because it's turn-based, right? So you're just going to move, and then...
I was even thinking for you for like the Persona 3, I'm like, okay, the only thing that's going to keep you away from that is like when you go hit the shadows, like you try to want to get behind them and hit them while they're moving around. That's going to be the one thing that's a little tricky for you. But other than that, everything is doable with the mouse.
And that doesn't happen in Like a Dragon. You just walk right up to
Walk
him.
right up to him, yeah. So
Yeah,
more
I'm
complicated
really
Persona.
excited to play Persona. I was trying to watch the stream as I was picking up this Vision Pro, and unfortunately I was only able to catch it in like 3-minute bursts because the internet in America's malls is not a thing. Why they even still exist, I don't know. So that sucked. But it did look gorgeous from what I saw. So, yeah. Anyway, that's
for the
my
Vision
week.
Pro, we need just around that, because I'm sure we've all seen the video so far. What's our take on people wearing these in public and sometimes driving a car?
So let me give you my take. First of all, okay. Let me start with wearing it in public. As someone that has used a Vision Pro, I got it day one, right? I went and picked it up day one. As somebody who's been using it, I will say, and you guys have seen my videos, right? I've shared because you can like screen capture. It is truly a life-changing experience. Like, I was doing dishes while Allie was sleeping. Because again, I'm trying to limit, like, I don't want to wear it around her. That's weird, right? I don't want to be antisocial. So I was doing dishes while she was sleeping. And above the the sink, I just had Game Grumps playing. And this like huge display, I couldn't even see my window behind it. Like I'm just watching Game Grumps. So like doing the dishes, putting stuff, I can hear it, right? And then when I like turn around, it's like bam, right there. And like today, I watched the video, I was like, I will not be one of those people that use it during daily activities. Like it's stupid to cook in it. I know this is stupid. Until I was already cooking and I got a FaceTime call from one of my coworkers like, hey, you want to dive into some content? I said, sure. So as I was knife in hand, probably not the smartest thing to do. No. As I have knife in hand and I'm cutting cucumbers, I literally have a FaceTime call to the right of me, a paused Game Grumps screen. I mean, I don't know, it might not have been watching Game Grumps now, but it was a paused YouTube screen either way, and a separate window in front of me. So what I did when he wanted to do the keynote, I just opened it, I turned around, I popped it up behind me, and as he was talking, I could be like, cool. So like when that stuff was done, I would turn around, and then I just started interacting. And when I was done, I just pinched it and just carried them upstairs, sat in front of my desk, went bop, bop, and popped them back. Like, it is truly a life-changing experience. All that to say, I will wear it when I travel. Because if I'm on a plane, I don't want to talk to you. And this is one more reason why I don't have to talk to you. And I'll be immersed, right? Like, I can block out everything on the plane. I can just be fully immersed, which is awesome. Because of that, I also will not judge you for being at a Starbucks and wearing it, because I've experienced it. Like, I could see why you would rather use this than your laptop. I can do more on a bigger screen at one time. So I won't judge you for it. It's the people, like you said, because I saw that video of somebody in a Tesla, and now there's been more than one because of that. Like, it's those people that'll ruin it for everybody. And it's those people that actually have me worried. Because I have to travel in 2 weeks. I am worried that I could be the subject of an unknown someone's photo that they post on social media or that they send to a friend and be like, look at this person on a plane. It's like, it's just an entertainment piece on the plane. Like, there should be no stigma there, but it's these idiots that are now going to turn into a thing where you have to be conscious of using it in normal place. You use your laptop in a Starbucks, you could use this at Starbucks. But like, don't walk down the street in pass-through doing this stuff while people are walking on the sidewalk. Right? And don't do it in the car. Like, that's really annoying. So that's where I stand on it. That's, you know.
Yes. So, I think I agree with you. Wearing it in your home, obviously totally fine. I think wearing it anywhere in which you are not in control of something is also totally fine. So, like a plane, or if you're in
a bus.
If you're on a bus, right. If you're in a place that you plan on being at for a little while, like a coffee shop, I think is fine because you don't have to interact with anybody. I think that if you wear it to a restaurant and like you're wearing it while like even if you're dining alone, and I think that because somebody might have to come talk to you to like get your order or whatever, it's fucking weird. It's a little weird, and you should know that it's weird, and you should stop.
Oh.
Here, no, because I get it. Like,
let me just say one thing. The only reason I disagree, and I don't disagree. I though have been the person that have been alone at a restaurant, a nice restaurant, sitting down eating, and FaceTiming my wife, because you guys know pre-COVID I traveled like 40 weeks of the year and like 4 days of the week, right? Like, so I have been the guy that have gone to like, I don't know, the local Italian restaurant, whatever city I'm in, and FaceTime my wife so I could have dinner with her. So I can see where maybe you would use in that instance.
Yeah.
It is still weird, though.
The difference is that when you're in a FaceTime with somebody, it is way easier to then disengage from the face. Because I agree. I've traveled and you look over at the person who's trying to give you their attention to give you what you need and have an interaction with you. And it's weird if you're going to be like, fucking, sorry, I can't, let me move these screens out of my face so I can talk to you. It's fucking weird. Any situation in which you need to actively interact with somebody, I think it's a little too much. The second thing is any traveling that you are in control of. So like a car, take it off your fucking face. Take it off your face. Stop being stupid. Take it off your face. Like,
that's the you know, though, people, like, since Tesla's become a thing, people do dumb shit to be on social media, and I hate it.
But like,
it's like, that's what can we do in a car that's not driving, and it sucks.
Yes. Like, but I'm one of the people that I think, like, You shouldn't eat while you drive. You should not fucking text and do all the other shit while you drive. You shouldn't do any of that while you drive. And I know people do it. I've been guilty of doing it sometimes. And I'm like, I just really quickly need to get this off so I can fucking move on. I get it. But truly, we are driving 2-ton death traps that can kill other people in the split second that we're not fucking looking. So I don't want to know that you have a fucking FaceTime call in your passenger seat and that you just keep, I'm just looking over here. Stop it. Use your fucking hands-free, call the person, and be done. Don't be stupid. The other problem is when people, this part, I personally think that people can do whatever they want. That being said, you would never catch me doing it because I like my life too much and I don't trust other people. But the people who walk around busy streets and wear these things, not only is that how you get mugged
off your face.
That's not only how you get mugged, but like, man, we all lived in St. Louis. We know, like, there's been times where people have almost smoked me walking across the street, and I didn't have anything distracting me. Like, it was just I had the right of way. I started walking, and I just happened to look at the right time before somebody was like, boom, and went right by, right? Like, so the idea that you think that you're gonna be safe by wearing one of these things and fucking moving your shit across the street before some car smokes you, like, it's just a bad...
People in our society, there's two problems. One is like, I got to do it for the clicks, which is the person driving Tesla, right? And honestly, right now, it's the person walking down the street. Why else would you put that thing on your face? You're saying, everybody look at me, right? The same
with the guy who wore it to the courtside NBA game.
Yeah. That's problem number one. Problem number two is people have a hard time being present in the moment, right? Like, enjoy the air. Look around. Like, if you want to, back to when I used to travel, I love nothing more than exploring the city during the day when I knew like Allie was working, other people were working. I'll go explore, pop in music in these jammers, like in these headphones, just listen and just like observe, like take in the day. You don't need that screen right here all the time.
Yeah.
Like, coming from somebody that has one of these, and I jokingly said, like, I never want to look at reality normally again because of what I could do. Like, you gotta enjoy the moment sometimes, man. Like, just walk down the street. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. You can carry it.
You'll
for
make
10
it.
minutes.
You'll make it. You'll be okay. Yeah. That's how I feel about it. What about you, Preston?
I mean, I watched a video where someone somehow got Snap on there, so I thought that was a cool idea. Now, if it was actually...
and I was sold. Now I can see myself carrying down the street.
No, I
think
it'd be very cool if you got working with the hands and stuff. You can just take a card, toss it over there, put it in your spots. I mean, that's a really cool fucking idea. Do I need to look at it at a 200-foot fucking screen? No, I don't. I'm fine. But I'm not a big... I kind of want to. But I'm not going to spend the money just to do it with Snap. I got Snap on my PC, I got Snap on my deck, I got Snap on my phone. I don't need Snap globbed to my fucking face. I'm fine. But I do like the idea of it. It's very Tony Stark-esque. You can toss screens.
But are you going to be playing Snap while you're taking Ted for a walk?
No. I am very
that's
in the
my
moment.
question.
When I go outside, like, the only time I'm pulling up my phone is if somebody's calling me. Like, even text message, I might just look real quick. I'm like, okay, just someone responding to a message. Just to make sure it's not like, hey, my mom is saying, call me real quick kind of deal. But, like, I don't fuck around with my phone very often when I'm out in public. So I wouldn't do that with a VR fucking headset either.
It is the most social antisocial or the most antisocial social experience I've ever had.
Depends on what you're doing with it. Some dude could just be watching fucking porn in the Starbucks. You don't know.
But not in 3D, because apparently that's a funny thing right now. Because look, sidebar, I was reading an article that popped up on news earlier because people were pissed, right? Because like one of the early adopters on any new technology is porn, obviously. And 3D porn, I guess, has existed for a while because of Oculus and other stuff. But apparently none of that stuff, because the way Vision Pro works is not two overlaid images at one time. It's completely different. It has to be filmed in that and whatever. Like it's an immersive spatial experience, not an overlay 3D. Yeah. None of that stuff works. So I guess people on Reddit are very upset about it.
Imagine having the fucking balls to buy a $3,500 piece of technology before tax, and then so it's basically you paid about $4,000. You paid $4,000 for a piece of technology, and then you got home and you were like, wait. I can't use this thing to be virtually jerked off by something.
Can you
and go,
give it
I
time.
have to go complain now.
You are, but can
Just
you imagine, like,
get a fucking life.
Christian doesn't
beyond
want to
that, beyond
I
that,
don't.
beyond that, could you imagine having the expendable income to drop $4,000 on something just for porn that you can get for free
Rich dudes are
on
fucking
any other
weirdos,
device on
man.
the internet? Like,
And,
$4,000,
like,
you have to
I
have
don't-
that
look, man,
expendable
like,
income.
I'm already, whatever. I'm not going to get into that part. But, like, the whole fucking VR thing, like, dude, you're literally sitting there, and if you look, like, it's just, they put you on a disembodied person. Like, you look down, and you're like, oh, my head is supposed to be where this person's head is at, and then you just watch whatever's about to happen to them. You're like, oh, yeah, this is me. Like, dude,
I don't want to get
get some
I
help.
don't want to get political or topical here, but I will say this: for the people that identify themselves as incels, right? Say you go this route, it would literally take you less money and effort to just try and date. And like, I'm not even saying like change the way you look, change the way you act. Like, there is somebody.
But if you're an incel, you should change the
Everyone-
way you act.
you should, absolutely.
It's your personality
Yeah,
that's the problem,
yes,
and that's why you can't
yes.
get anybody to talk to you.
Yes, but
As someone who's trying
there
to
are
date, it's
also
not easy,
plenty
but I
of
get
those
it.
people. There are plenty of those people that still get dates, right? Like, it would take you. I get it. Dating is not fun. Dating is not easy.
not.
It's uncomfortable.
It's
You have to go out.
not.
You have to talk to people. I'm an antisocial person, so I get it, right? Like, you don't.
It
wanna
also
go-
doesn't
I
mean that
totally
people owe you anything, though.
Right. But all I'm saying is, with all that being said, it would still cost you less money
Sure. Yeah.
to date and then just get the real thing. It would cost you less money to pay for the real thing than it would for this virtual.
You
Like,
know
that's all
what?
I'm saying.
For
That's
a trip to
right.
Vegas,
That's all I'm
it would be
saying.
it'd be cheaper to go on a trip to Vegas
It's
and pay
like-
for what you need to pay for. Yeah, you're right.
That's true.
So it's just and then to have that expendable income to then just get on the internet and get mad about it. Like that's
Yeah,
Like, what do you mean I can't watch somebody else get jerked off? This is fucked up. Like,
no, you can't.
I
You
paid
just can't do
$4,000
it.
for this. I should be able to watch it.
Yeah, but
They
I want
can-
it to
they
be
can
in
watch.
VR, dude. I paid for it. I'm hooked. It's the only way I can get off now. Like, I just don't. People really every day, and I mean, we were joking last time where Alex was like, "Are you just going to become a sovereign citizen, Christian?" And every day I'm closer. Except I wouldn't even. But
you'll be able to get your porn in 3D.
the problem is that even like with the sovereign citizens, like, oh, I want other like-minded people around. It's like, no, like, I want like a mile in each direction that I can see, and then basically just like look at somebody like, if you cross this line, I'm going to shoot at you if I don't know you. Don't come near me. I don't want you around me. I hate you. Like, but if I know you and we're cool, then you can cross the fucking DMZ and you can come in and hang out.
But how do you get to know new people if you don't talk to them?
You know what? I'm at the point now where I have a very solid group of people around me, this podcast included, and I think I'm good. I don't know that I need new people. That's not to say, shout out to any of my new friends I might make in the future that go back and listen to this. But as of right now, I don't know that I need new friends. I'm very happy with the very tight-knit group of people that I am around myself currently.
I like how you left it open and didn't alienate anybody in the future. Like, just in case you happen to accidentally make a new friend, you don't want to like lose that friend preemptively down the road. So you're like, hey, just in case you heard that, like, this doesn't apply to you. What might happen to future Christian, the current Christian is totally.
I guess my point is, yes, to anybody listening, the window is closing. So if you're interested at all, the window is closing before.
Put in your resume now.
Yes.
Your resume
Yeah.
now.
Before
Just
I'm not
send it.
accepting new applicants anymore. It needs to be, because I do, like, I already, man, there's so many times where, like, Alexa and I'll go to places, and God, dude, we've gotten off the rails on this. Alexa and I'll go to places, and she'll be like, it'll be like, oh yeah, it's all these people, and they're bringing their significant others, or they're bringing this and that and that. And I'm like, okay, and then it's like fucking 20 people that I don't know, and everyone's just like, oh hey. Everyone's talking like, hey, what are you doing? What do you do? And you're just like, dude, I don't have this in me. Like
the trick there is you have to be the first one to ask a question. So like if you start the train of like, oh, tell me about what do you do? If you start the train, you can give a couple of follow-ups and you don't have to talk. But if you let them ask first, then you're effed. Because then you're stuck. Like they're like, oh, what do you do? And it's like, oh, cool. How long have you been doing that? Oh, you guys live around here, right? Like you get to say a couple of words. You just gotta start first.
That's it. The problem is that like I still care not, like, because I can't even. There's times I will not say what happened. I was in a situation recently in which I was alone with somebody for like 5 minutes while the mutual person that I know was like left for a second, and in my head, this is how bad this is. In my head, I said to myself, I should probably ask this person. Like, I should probably say, like, hey, so what do you do? Blah, 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 blah. Like, just try to, fill some conversation. And then I said, I just don't care. And I pulled my phone out, and I waited for the other person to come back, and then I continued. And that is not a value statement on that person or anything like that. It's just like, you seem fine, right, and you might be cool, and that's great for you and this person that I know that you like. But that's all. Like, I'm all right, man. And
because can I tell you how psychotic I am? In situations like that, I react very similar to you. I just prep myself for something like unnecessary. So I would have just prepared myself in that situation. Like, if they go to talk to me, I'm probably going to respond with, we don't need to make this any more awkward than it already is. See, like I just prime myself.
I know there's one thing that you and I both said. The problem is that I'm now, like, I want the conversation to be interesting for me, which this is so, like, shit. But, so, like, I will, like, if there's a conversation, like, and if people are, like, normal, I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then I'll just be like, that's fine. Yeah. I can move on from that. What I want is, like, the flat earther when somebody's like, and you're like, because
then I'd be locked in.
Yeah, see, that's the problem is that then I'm like, oh, well, I gotta hear more. Let's you and me talk some more, man. And, like, I go back and forth and have this thing with this person, even though there was plenty of normal people, but I was just like, yeah, you're normal, and that's fine, and good for you. But that's not, like, I want to be entertained for a little bit. And so then, like, you go, it's one
of those things where, like, if you say, like, nah, I don't want to talk, and they're like, oh, yeah, probably one of those big tech Kabbalists with a one world order, then I would have been like, oh, excuse me, let me put this phone down. Come again,
Yeah, no, I've changed my mind, actually. I want nothing more than to talk to you.
Yes, please. Yeah. Please tell me everything in your head.
Yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately, for better or worse, we're never blessed with the crazies. We only have the normal people. And
I know, dude. I very rarely get crazies anymore, and it sucks because anytime I get one, I'm like beyond excited. I love it, but and there's times if Alexa's around me, she will absolutely have to stop me. Like, she will be like. She will be like, okay, we're leaving. Like, this has been fun, but we're leaving. And I'm like, no, I want to talk. And it's not happening.
Preston is dying inside.
I know.
I'm fine. I have conversations with random people all the time, so I mean.
I know. See, dude. Like, I
talk to the custodian lady who goes around picking up trash. I talk to her. There's two ladies out there smoking. I talk
Preston's
to them.
the exact opposite,
she's a Chihuahua.
Dude.
There's one lady here who has a dog. To be fair, she's a very cute dog, so I talk to them. But yeah,
is she very cute, or she just has a cute dog?
You're good. You're muted, Alex, I think.
No, he just didn't speak up loud enough.
Oh,
I said, is she cute, or does she just have a cute dog?
Cute dog.
Oh,
she's a very nice person. I don't want to talk. Yeah, I don't want to grade someone's looks, but yeah.
But even in that situation, like, I want to pet your dog, but I don't want to talk to you.
His name is Pip. He's adorable. Teddy loves him. Like, the other day, Pip was walking up, and Teddy, like, laid down on the ground to wait for him. He's excited. I've never seen him do that. It was a great time.
You're the exact opposite. I don't know. Like, Alexa does the same thing. It kills me inside. Like when if
Volunteer for the radio
if,
station. I was talking to everybody who came up to me.
if a stranger conversation happens that I'm not a part of, but I'm there, like it happened when we were on our way to Ireland. Alexa has this fucking social worker face that says, "Talk to me and tell me your problems," and like so, and I have like resting bitch face like no other, and so like I usually, if I'm by myself, I can go days without speaking to somebody, like easy, because everyone's just like, nah, I don't want to, I'm good, and I don't want to mess with that person. Well, Alexa, on the other hand, has the thing that's just like, talk to me, and so like when we were at the line for the airport in Ireland, his family's sitting there, and I can see the mom, and she like turns around a couple times, and she's like looking around, and she's just talking and doing her thing, but I can see, I was like, she so badly wants to talk to us because we're next to them in line, and I was like, just don't, just stay with your family, talk to your family, like I don't, why, and it doesn't matter. She turns around and goes, so excuse me, I'm so sorry about you, were you guys a couple, blah blah blah, and of course Alexa's like, yeah, we just got married, blah blah blah, and she was like, oh my god, it's this whole thing in
the train. Yeah.
my head. I'm just like, if somebody could land one of these planes on me right now, I would be so happy. Like, I'm like, get me out. Because then it always is this, and then there's the people that go and fucking, the guy will be like, so, you know, you guys from here? I go, no, we were originally from Illinois, and then we moved to St. Louis, and then da 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 da. I go, oh man, so you a Chicago sports fan? And I'm just like, ugh. Yep, I'm a Bulls fan. And then they're like,
do you know?
Man, no, you're in enemy territory here, brother, blah, blah. And you're just like, land a plane on me.
Do you know how many arguments in 14, almost 15 years we've had from like Allie and I playing the game of chicken where like we'll be in a taxi or something and somebody will be chatty, and like as they go to chat, I just open my headphones and like put them in. So then it's like, who's gonna talk? And it's like, well, it's not gonna be me. So
Yep.
Allie will talk, and then we'll get out of the car. She's like, why don't you ever say anything? You always leave me to talk. It's like, you could just not talk. That's what I do. Just don't do it. Right? Like,
Yeah, no, I just can't. But yeah, I know dude, Preston. I've seen it in person. He will fucking, if somebody comes up and starts talking, Preston's like, "We want to chat about," and like he'll talk. And I'm just like, man, I don't know how he does it. That is not for me.
I like most people. Until they give me a reason not to.
Preston, most people suck.
You
I'm
yeah,
very
see,
well aware,
that's a,
but they gotta give me a reason
you give so many benefits of the doubt to people who don't deserve it.
You can cross the line, and I can put a hard stop on that.
Yes, I don't mean it like that. I mean I'm saying like strangers. Like you were like your exact philosophy of somebody has to give me a reason not to like them. Where I'm like, somebody has to give me a reason to like them.
Yeah. Guilty until proven innocent.
yeah.
And you better prove the innocence quick, because you got about 15 seconds, just long enough for me to either put this hood up or get something else to cover these ears. Oh, anyway, I think we have a topic tonight.
Yeah, we're talking about
video games
too.
Yeah.
So, Preston, what is our topic? You brought it.
I did not.
No?
Nope.
You made the determination on it.
No,
I
dude,
decided what we did.
You brought it,
this
Alex.
topic up.
Did I?
You
No.
did.
Are you sure?
No, it was me.
Oh, was it you?
Okay, you're getting gaslit right now. I was literally opening the thread here.
I thought, I'm
figure out
not
who
gonna lie,
goes-
dude. I thought Preston was just humoring me, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude, let's go. Let's just convince Alex." But then I could see the way in his face, like I was like, "Oh, I think he genuinely believes that Alex brought this topic."
I was literally, I have the thread open. I'm like scrolling backwards, being like, "Are you? I don't think I brought this topic."
Yeah. So we figured that because it is still very early in this year. Although we did have the January releases already happen, so obviously we can't include those. But
That's what you think.
I mean, I guess you could if you really wanted to.
Well, I mean, Alex has not played those and can't play those, so it's
Yeah,
he's still
I
looking
know.
forward to them.
Yeah, that's fair. But we are doing top 5 for each of us, most anticipated titles for this year. And then obviously, you can go ahead and reference this when Game of the Year comes around to see how we actually liked any of these games.
Yeah.
So I will start. I'm not going to do a particular order. I'll be just 5, but it's not like a ranked order.
Sure.
But I'm going to get this one while I can because it does come out soon. I'm very excited for Helldivers 2.
It does look good. I definitely got that on my
Did you
GameFly
play-
list.
Did you guys play 1? I never played 1.
Preston and I, man, that was one of the. As a matter of fact, that was one of the first games he and I played together.
Was it? That's cute.
Yep. Mwah.
That is cute. Look at that. The match made in hell. See what I did there? See
I
what did
mean,
there?
to be fair, like that's something you can make like enemies from by really easy because there's a lot of friendly fire in that game. So yeah, you can piss somebody off really easy in that game.
Yeah, but we played a fuck ton of Helldivers 1.
We did. It was
Yeah.
good. It's fun.
So I'm excited for this. The second one looks altogether different.
Wait, it's
but
third person.
still
It's
fun. Like,
completely different. Dude, I watched a
it's-
I
video.
say, I heard you guys talking about it when we were doing the game thing.
Yeah.
So I watched the video to where they actually have like game masters going into the game and will change things up based off what's happening in your server. So like they'll drop down a weapon for you if they think that you need it. If they think that you're going through too easy,
Really?
they'll upgrade. Dude, there's a whole video on it. You gotta watch it. But they're like,
So
yeah,
it's
we're gonna have people.
So it's like a balance
You should
thing?
send it to me. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
we're gonna have
check it out.
like community managers in there, like being like, okay, well, I think it'd be really fun if we gave them this weapon. They just drop a weapon down in for them and just see how that just kind of throws things through. But yeah,
That's dope.
there's some
That's
cool things
really
that are gonna
cool.
be happening with that game. Yeah.
I can't
But I'm
wait
very
till they
excited
do,
for
like,
it.
I can't wait till they go like rogue on one weekend and they're like, oh, for this weekend we're just gonna do something crazy, and it's like just the biggest baddest gun drops for everybody at this one time. Like, you know what I mean? Just to see how things get.
On the it's so for those who don't know, on the Helldivers like falls closer to if you were putting Starship Troopers and EDF on a spectrum, Helldivers falls closer to the Starship Troopers side
Yeah, for sure.
of the spectrum.
They try
But
to do
it-
like 80s sci-fi kind of
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
Terminator.
yeah,
shit like that.
it's good though. And I'm excited to see if they can nail this new format.
Yeah, looks fun. Looks
right.
good too.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Preston, you want to
Preston,
go?
what about you?
Sure. I was going through a couple of these. There is a remaster coming out that I'm super excited for. That would be Star Wars Dark Forces Remaster. The Night Dive
Oh.
Studios is doing this. Comes out in February. It looks super sick. They're still taking the old like animated cutscenes they had, but just like cleaning them up a whole bunch, making them look nice and polished, and then the in game looks really, really fucking rad. But yeah, I'm super excited to dive back into that super short game. It's gonna be super fun. I can't wait to play that game. It's gonna be a lot of good times.
Nice. I'll get this easy one right out of the way. It's a game that has just come out. I have not played it. I'm really excited to eventually one day get to Infinite Wealth. I really want to play
Oh,
it.
there you go. Yeah, yeah.
So there's just the easy peasy. We'll get it to go. The rest have not come out yet.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So, okay. Christian, what you got for 2?
For number 2, I'm gonna go with Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2.
There you go.
Does that have a date? That doesn't have a date, does it?
It does, September 9th.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah. I am, especially after as much as I've played and continuing to play for Rogue Trader, it is, I love Warhammer. I think Warhammer has one of the coolest fucking universes of all time. It is also one of the universes that I would love for it to let me love it. But there's just so many, the main way of interacting with it, which is the tabletop game, I don't have it in me. Like, I'm not, and I don't mean that in a way that like is disparaging against the game. Those people, you people who play that, are stronger than me. I cannot do
You
that.
don't have the money
It's a lot
to
to
get
do.
into that. It's a lot.
I mean, if
of time, a lot of
I would
money.
have the money if I stopped playing video games, which is what most people who play it do. Like, they just play Warhammer. Like, if you're just paying for the miniatures and painting them and setting them up and doing your whole thing, then I believe that is what you do, and that's great. I don't got that in me. That being said, every single time that a video game comes out for Warhammer, it's always so cool. I haven't played any of the RTSs or like the strategy games, I guess, but like I know people really like those. My first introduction to it was the first Space Marine game, and I still love that game because when I was playing through it, I was like, yo, what the fuck is this? And then as that game went on, and then especially with some of the other like Vermintide and like all the other Warhammer, like the multiplayer games that came out, those were really cool. Rogue Trader has been fucking incredible for all of it. So I'm stoked for Space Marine 2.
You said you're going to make us play it, right? Space Marine 1 on our gaming book club.
Yeah, and honestly, I might
Eventually.
fuck around and we might do Space Marine 2. We'll see.
Hey,
All right.
okay.
For me, my number 2. Preston, you did your number 2.
Did not.
He did not,
No, it's your turn.
I know. I'm just gonna,
and we were going 5 through 1. But yeah,
I got distracted by the dog. I'm
That's
sorry.
fine.
It's your turn.
It's okay.
I was like, wait, but I don't remember Preston. So okay, go ahead.
This is the last one that actually has a date so far. So this one is Homeworld 3. I remember playing Homeworld 1. I didn't play any of Homeworld 2 because I didn't have a computer that could handle it at the time. But real-time strategy in space, so you got Y-axis and all sorts of crazy shit you're doing with it. The ships look amazingly cool. When you get you get a fleet of guys, they all have these little trails behind them going after in battles. It looks phenomenal. I remember the first one played really well. That's got an interesting story to it. I'm super excited to get back into that kind of universe and a new computer to do it with. It's going to look great.
that was the game that you
Nice.
got a good counter pick off of last year, right?
Yes, because
Really?
someone thought
Yeah.
it was coming out. I'm like, there's no way this game's coming out. Guess who was right? This guy.
Yes,
But
you
guess
were.
what? I voted for Call of Duty and didn't do so well.
Hey man, look, you win some, lose some, you know.
Yeah,
having
you know,
a
some of us do really, really good with a couple picks, like picking Dead Space Remake, and then some of us also pick Spider-Man 2 as a counter pick. You know,
Happens.
You definitely win some, you definitely lose some. Okay. My number 2, in the vein of our fantasy gaming league, my number 2 was one of my anticipated games of last year that did not come out last year, and that would be Hellblade 2: Senua's Sacrifice.
There you go.
I feel like that is a high risk, high reward game. I think if done well, could be a phenomenal game and a great sequel, but boy, could it easily fall the other way and be not good.
tell you right
so, Chris, I
now-
know you said like, we'll look back on this at the end of the year. Higher risk, high reward here.
Looking at it, it looks like one of the best games I've ever seen. It looks amazing.
Yep.
People talked a lot of shit about Starfield and how good it was going to be too, and we know how that turned out.
Yeah.
So we'll see, Xbox. I'm praying for you, Xbox. You need a great exclusive hit. I feel like this could be it. Maybe.
need that.
Please don't let me down.
Please, I'm begging you.
Christian, back to you.
This one's super easy. Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail.
There you go.
There's no reason to get into it. We all know how much for 14 on this podcast, Dawn Trail is the newest expansion. It looks to be incredible. The story setup that I played through the recent story patches looks very good. I'm very excited.
Good. Okay. My number 2. This one does not have the date just yet, but Metamorph ReFantazio. From a lot of the people who used to make the Persona games, published by Atlas. Studio Zero is the new studio. But yeah, it looks like, you can't really tell a lot of what's going on there, but it looks like they mix Persona with Fire Emblem, which I know the new Fire Emblem kind of has social links and things like that too, so it kind of is doing that, but I feel like this is going to lean heavily more into Persona kind of stuff with social links, all that kind of nonsense. I'm curious to see if they have
It looked
daily
like-
stuff kind of
To me,
do,
it looked like they finally were merging like Persona and SMT. Like they were just like, we want it
Yeah.
all together now.
Exactly. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they say the Personas they Reload was like the last Persona game they're doing altogether?
Yeah. Because
So-
Persona Team doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. So it's, to be fair, I'm playing Persona 3. I'm like, okay, this is a lot more of the same for 4 and for 5. I'm like, I could probably do without a 6 as long as it wasn't like, if it's more in the future, I'd be okay with it. But this Metamorph, it looks really good. So I'm super
Yeah.
stoked to get that. It's supposed to be fall of 2024.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll keep this one also really easy. I'm going to piggyback off Christian. Clearly, Dawn Trail. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah,
I have
you guys are gonna
1,000
want the
hours
Dawn
into the
Trail.
stupid game. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys want me to say.
It could be good.
I've been running old content. I mean, I take it back. I'm not even running old content. I'm running my dailies. I'm getting my alt up. I talked about that the other day. Travis is back in town from his long vacation, and he'd moved recently. He's getting his desk back up, so he's hopping back in the game. By the time he hops in at 80, I should have my mage at 80. I'm gonna carry him to 90. We're good to go. I need you in my life.
Fair enough.
My next one, second to last one, is Dragon Dogmas 2.
Ah, never
So
played the first one.
yeah, so I got to the first one. So this was still as a matter of fact, the first one came out when I still lived in Illinois, and so I was at my first apartment, and I remember it was really early on in the PS3 site where like they were how they did demos back in the day. For those who don't know, it was just like there was like this little demos channel that you could go look at, and sometimes games would drop them, and then or in other cases like it was still when games would include you could purchase a game and then a code for a demo would be in the case when you bought it. But so I remember playing the demo for Dragon's Dogma, and so Itsuno, the guy who does the Devil May Cry games, is the creator for Dragon's Dogma, and it's basically like, hey, what if you could play an open world RPG but with the combat from Devil May Cry? And I was like, well, yes, I would like that very much. And the problem, and it was this, there's, Dragon's Dogma 1 is a very flawed but very cool game that I couldn't possibly recommend anybody go play now, unless you're truly just like curious and you want to go check it out. But it is a game that when it was first originally starting to be created, it was cut in half, and then it was cut in half one more time, and that was the game that eventually shipped. So you can there are placeholders, there are things for parts of that game that were never finished that you can tell that are just like left over and still hanging out
that
about.
didn't have an end, yeah.
Yeah, like you can tell that it was supposed to be this just like massive bustling world, and then it ends up being like this sort of like empty, half realized thing that has amazing combat and like a really cool open world system and a really insane like it's called the pawn system, but like how they handle multiplayer in that game, which is really cool. But Dragon's Dogma 2 is finally, what it seems like anyway, is that Itsuno has garnered a bunch of goodwill within Capcom, obviously, by doing the Lord's work with, Devil May Cry and everything else. And so he has said about this is the game that he has wanted to make. And so, and he's actually said, you don't actually need to go. You can consider this a reboot, essentially, of Dragon's Dogma 1, even though the story is basically non-existent. Or in like a remake in certain ways. So you can just hop into this and you won't have any issues. But it looks fucking cool. And if you can deliver on what Dragon's Dogma actually originally like wanted to be, you could have a really fucking cool game. So I'm excited to see how that turns out.
Okay. Yeah, I know some people are hyped on it, but I never played it. My second to last game. This one could be a flop. I'm not like super holding my breath on it, but it looks somewhat interesting. Star Wars Outlaws, that is supposed to come out this year. I'm not holding my breath on that either because we haven't seen a whole lot of it. They did some developer videos for it. It looked rough then, like with some of the speeder bike combat they were trying to do with it. There's not a whole lot out there for it. So we'll see if it actually comes out this year. But I like me a good Star Wars game. It seems like got like interesting characters within it. But other than that, not super sure how I'm gonna enjoy it. If it's gonna be good or not. It's publishers Ubisoft, Massive Entertainment. I don't know what else they have made. But either way, it's not something that like I have to play it. Oh, it's gonna be so great. It's something like I'm interested in it. It'll probably be all right, but it's the studio who made the Division 1 and 2. That's the studio who's making this one. So
Division 1 was good.
1 and 2 aren't bad.
I never played 2. 1 was good, yeah.
So got some hopes for it. But yeah, that would be my second to last.
The Division absolutely destroyed it when it came to
like the first one.
environment,
Yeah.
like environmental tone and stuff. So, So in the first draft of this list, Dragon's Dogma 2 was on it. Dragon's Dogma 2 dropped off of it only because I never played 1. So the hype train, I think, is getting to me on 2. I love some of the boss designs I've seen. I like some of the intriguing things where they're like, it's possible to play the entire game and never see the Sphinx, which is pretty cool and stuff. And if you don't know what to do, so like the hype train is getting me, but it eventually fell off and got replaced by this other game because I've never experienced 1, so I didn't know what to do. Based on what you said, Christian, I'll definitely check out 2 because I had it. So what it got replaced by on this list was Luigi's Mansion 2, the remake. I never played 2. Luigi's Mansion 3 was one of Ali and I, like, our favorite game on Switch to date. It's just incredibly fun. It's so cute and clever, and like all Nintendo games, is polished as all get out. And there's a ton of fun content in there that keeps you busy for 30 hours, right? So I'm really excited to play 2. It looks like they took everything from the GameCube game and just kept that, but made it look identical to the graphic fidelity of Luigi's Mansion 3 and playable on the Switch. So I'm really excited about how that opens up to us. So that's the game that got replaced. It went from one that I've never experienced to one I knew what the quality was. So that's my game there.
So then my last one should come as no surprise. It is Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even see we talked about the fact there's one coming out this year. We knew that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is coming out this year. I'm very excited for it. That's it. I'm very excited that the tone is returning to that of the Azure and Zero games as opposed to the Cold Steel games. That is perfect news for me. But other than that, I'm just excited. It's a great series.
Is that the 13th one in the list? Counting fingers.
11?
11th? Okay.
Goodness.
Yeah, I think 11.
Close to a baker's dozen there, Bob.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, last on my list is a little game publisher's Devolver. The developers, Nomada Studios. So the people who made Gris are coming out with Neva. We've seen the trailer for it, but that's all we got. The developer did come out on Instagram, I saw, or at least the gentleman who does all the art for it. He mentioned that they do have more to show us this year. He's excited to show it, so I'm assuming they're going to drop a release date then. It does not guarantee a 2024 release date, but I think it could. The video they gave us looked pretty neat, so I'm excited to see where they're at on that when they finally show it off. But I think they'll give us an idea of when it will come out once they show it off. I'm sure it'll be probably Summer Games Fest or maybe one of the Nintendo Directs. Who knows? But yeah,
I am not touching that game until we find out, does the dog die?
I mean,
touching it
the big one they show in the trailer, that one passes, but there's a little one there, so I'll let you know.
Yeah. Okay, so my last game is also a dark horse. I am very excited about the announcement and future release of Ghosts of Tsushima 2. That's it.
I think they might wait for Rise of the Ronin to be finished, and then they might start doing that. But
Let me get this straight.
in the movie?
Yep. Yep.
You decided to take a game that doesn't exist, isn't announced.
It will be. It'll be announced this year.
It's not coming out this year.
Yeah, we'll see.
I said it'll
be announced this year. I'm really excited for the upcoming announcement of
Looking forward to the
that
announcement of that game.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
It's not what we're going for here, but okay.
You could. I love that you took Dragon's Dogma 2 off a list for a game that doesn't exist.
Hey man, I don't know. I said I didn't know about it, but I
might as
know
well
what
have said
Ghost of
Metroid
Tsushima
Prime
1
4.
was, so we'll see.
Yeah, you might as well have been like Metroid Prime 4. I'm so
not excited about Prime 4. I'm not excited about it.
Actually, Metroid Prime 4 at least exists more than Ghost of Tsushima 2 does. That game doesn't exist.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, fair enough.
We'll see. So, yeah, no, like I said, I am excited about Dragon's Dogma. It looks good. You know what Dragon's Dogma reminds me of, and this isn't a true like comparison to the games necessarily, but like last year, Valkyrie Illusion Chronicles or whatever. When I saw the trailer, it was like
Valkyrie Profile.
Valkyrie Profile, right? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Is Elysium Chronicles a prequel to that? Like, was it?
No, Valkyrie Profile. It's like called like Valkyrie Profile Elysium something, but it's
Okay.
It's,
Yeah. It's that one. When I saw the trailer of that last year, I was like, that looks very exciting. It came out. It was not as exciting as it looked, right?
Yeah.
That's how I was until you just talked about Dragon's Dogma, because we as a collective group have not talked about it. That's the feel that I got. Like, this gameplay looks great. It looks fun. It's checking my boxes with the style and stuff. I just don't know.
I'm just saying, my thing is, I'm just saying it actually exists, whereas
Hey
Ghost
man,
of Tsushima 2
I'm
doesn't
just
exist.
I'm just here to throw curveballs. That's what I'm doing. Wine tonight. Just being a wild card. You can never. You don't know what the wild card's gonna do. That's what I'm doing.
It's like you'd be like, my most anticipated game is Final Fantasy 20.
Or that'll be next year, 2025. My most anticipated game of the following year is going to be the remake of 10, 2026, because that will be its 25th
They're not going to
anniversary.
remake 10.
They're going to remake 10, 2026.
Well,
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Really quick, Ed, Preston, feel free to cut this part out if it doesn't. There is some breaking news.
I mean, we don't
big.
have a very long
Okay.
episode. I'm down for it.
I know that we could toss in that if we can get before we get off, we can do hot takes here,
Sure.
or we can.
Damn it. How do we have all of this great stuff, but nothing for breaking news?
Oh,
Objection!
you want to just
Ace
keep
attorney?
pressing that, or
I have one good thumb. I'm sorry if I accidentally hit things more than once.
so the breaking news here is, and apparently we will get this answered next week, but leaks and early reporting is showing that Microsoft is going to be bringing its entire catalog and going forward, it is done being in the console wars. It's going to be bringing all of its games to PlayStation.
Oh shit.
Question. Does that breaking news imply that Game Pass as a service will be there, or are they actively saying, like, we're not even as focused on the service, we're just bringing all of our games there?
So it does not. The leak says that it does not have anything to do with Game Pass. So my assumption is that, and it also talks about Nintendo as well. My assumption is that if you own a product that can run the Xbox like application, right? So either an Xbox console or the PC, you will be able to take advantage of Game Pass. However,
Steam Deck. That's why they obviously
Sure.
have that on there too, right? If you want
If-
sideload it on Linux.
if not, then you can just buy their games piecemeal. I'm not sure.
Real quick, interesting.
So
And coincides with something actually big that happened this week for a lot of people that don't know. As somebody that oftentimes plays shit on Apple stuff, Apple made changes to their store library.
Yes, they did.
This week, allowing third-party storefronts to be in the App Store, meaning Game Pass app can now be an officially
yep, as opposed to like
published app
linking
on
to
the
a
App Store.
website. Yeah.
That is
so-
interesting.
This leak happened because there was internal communication about, and Preston, this was a game that you were very excited about, the Indiana Jones game that was an Xbox
It's gonna be day
exclusive.
on Game Pass.
Yeah,
Golden Circle?
they're saying that is actually there's a PS5 version floating around, and people were like, well, what would that mean? Because that shouldn't be on there. And that leak ended up digging into further saying that it's Microsoft is evaluating bringing everything. So like we could see Halo and Gears, but then also like everything going forward, whatever would be available
That would
for
also-
somebody to be on PlayStation, which is fucking wild. But then here's the thing. When this guy, and then we can go around for our takes. All of this came out, all this reporting came out, and then very quickly today, Phil Spencer did not deny anything that was happening here. He also didn't confirm anything. He just said, "Hey, we've been hearing everything. We totally get this, and I've seen the gamut, right? Like people being very happy about it, people being very negative about it. Obviously, if you are one of the soldiers left in the console war, you might be feeling a little hurt right now." But he said that we've been planning a business update event for next week, and we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned. Okay. So we will have our answer next week. That, to me, though, if you weren't doing that, you would deny it and say, but hey, we do actually have like really exciting things to share with you guys next week or whatever. That, to me, says there is at least some credence.
Sure.
To something
Otherwise,
that's
they'd be
happening.
like, well, we
Maybe.
might plan on doing Indiana Jones on PlayStation later. It's a timed exclusive on Xbox, so we're going to let that pass.
Right.
You could come
Like
out.
Maybe the only other thing tinfoil hat on is I have seen tech companies put out major leaks to purposely catch people that have been leaking. This doesn't feel like that, but I have seen companies put stuff out to get leaked to catch who is leaking about other big things. I don't think that's what this is.
No, I think Phil Spencer, I think that he, especially if he saw that a huge portion of his fan base was getting upset right now, which if your primary way of gaming is an Xbox console, right? Like you don't have a PC, you don't have anything, and you're finding out that more or less the entire ecosystem that you have crafted for yourself, your friends, your achievements, the games, all that shit, right? You find out that that's going away, like, you're probably a very upset person.
I think that's a little bit like not a very intelligent way of looking at it, because there's no way they're not going to at least give like a box out there, okay? Like they're going to make an updated hardware box. It's not going to be their main like tent pole. It's not going to be like the main goal, but they'll still have an
There's
Xbox,
been a streaming
I
rumor
think.
for a while.
Yeah, they
See,
might,
that's
that's
what
the
I'm
whole thing.
thinking.
They might have like a cloud device that they can get. It's an Xbox xCloud device. I mean, there's a lot of things they could do, but I don't. Again, we'll find all this shit out next week. But I think that it still leaves opportunities for them to like. But if you like Xbox, you still have this little box here for you. But we're not worried about sales on this box because all of our games are coming to place. Because this has been talked about for years as far as like, is Xbox or Microsoft going to go into just the software business when it comes to games? Are you going to get rid of hardware? We thought about that last generation. And they're like, no, we still have a box and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, well, I see what you're doing. And then I think this is more of that thought kind of coming to fruition. I think they'll still have another box sooner or later, but I think they're slowly getting people used to the idea of not having an Xbox and just having Game Pass.
Here's the thing. So I agree with you. The reason that I agree about that they're trying to get people to lean more towards having Game Pass. I think that there is a solid chance that we don't see another Xbox console, mostly because since the Xbox's launch, Microsoft as a whole is pulling out of the hardware business. Like, they don't do dick anymore. Like, they completely, obviously, like, their phone thing was killed off a long time ago, but they axed every single one of their stores, too. There's 3 Microsoft stores left.
Their head of their Surface team left, and their Surface team left earlier last year.
Yep.
I think.
And they have 3 or 4 Microsoft stores left. I think there's one in New York for sure. There's one in London, and I think maybe, I don't know where the other 2, but there's only 4 left. They axed every other single Microsoft store in the world and just completely killed them. So, to me, that says, like, hey, maybe we do it seems to me that it feels like they're getting closer to trying to be like have like an Apple TV like device right? Where it's just like a little box that you can buy that like,
Do the cloud games with and
and then if there's a little bit, there will be some storage on there if you need to download it for offline play, you'll be allowed to do that. But I'm not saying, I think for me, I'm split 50-50. I think they're just as likely to say, hey, we will always have a box for you. But going forward, because when you look at the Xbox sales, the Series S like slam dunked the Series X in sales, like easy, because it's cheaper, and two, it's what people wanted. They want an easy way to play their games. Like, that's it, right? And the Series S does that. And so I think they're just as likely to say we will always have a box for you to buy. It will, going forward, it's going to look more like the Series S. And that's just what we'll release, and we will have something that will be able to, target, mid-range fucking performance specs, and you'll be able to do your things on it. But primarily, that's what we're gonna, want it to do. They're just as likely to say like, we're done. And especially because now that they own Blizzard and Activision, the range of IPs they have is so massive that if they just said we're done and they just became in the publishing business, that is hand over fist money.
yeah, they're making themselves an assload of money. Not
I
worried
mean,
about
it would
hardware.
never end. That river would never end.
What if I'll go to the other side, right? Preston, you say you think there's going to be a box. Christian, you're splitting. So I'll lean to that other side and take that other 50% and say, I don't think we'll see another box streaming at all. Because think about it. You're losing money on the consoles you make, right? We know that. You're making money off of the service. Somebody has done the math to know how many people pay for their online service, which is probably a majority of their customers, right? Probably over 80% pay for the ability to play online. I'm not talking Game Pass. I'm just saying like the ability to play online. Yeah?
Yeah.
So you don't care about consoles. There's one reason we know for a while you've wanted to put your service on other devices. There's one thing that Sony says no to is they don't want your service on their console because now you're invading on their space. But what if that deal with Sony is we don't make consoles, you let us put our service on your device. And then Christian, to your point, you don't lose achievements, you don't lose anything because you can create a free Microsoft account and use the app on your phone to track the Microsoft specific IP. And just for the Microsoft specific games, right? Like Sony wouldn't care about trophies for those. So like just for those IPs they own, if you want to track your achievements, keep getting them. Maybe, but like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because you're getting more console sales, and all you think is, well, once they're in our ecosystem, we're gonna sell them PlayStation games too, so that's fine. So you're making money that way, and like you can track that stuff through an app. You can still get achievements if you play on PC. Like it's all tied to your Microsoft account, which you could create for free. And again, like I'm not saying it doesn't mean you don't have to pay for Game Pass, but say you didn't, and you just played a game that was owned by them, like the next Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls, yes.
Yep.
You could just sign in, right? Maybe the long shot here would be that they will continue to sell a dongle only, not completely Bluetooth, but a dongle only controller if you want to play the Xbox controller. Maybe Sony would let that happen, but that's even the long shot.
I don't think so.
All they want to do, all they care about is their service. Get their service on that one, and what's the easiest way to do it? Not compete in the hardware space.
Yeah, those make those controllers for PC because people love them to use them for PC, and most PCs are run by Windows nowadays. So
I agree with you. So I agree with everything you said, except I don't think they would merge ecosystems. I think that if you bought Gears on PlayStation, you would get trophies, and it would be tied to your PlayStation account. And I think that what would happen.
I'm not saying merge.
Right. Well, I'm saying like the like if you were the person who only had an Xbox console and your choice was now I'm either going to be playing games through cloud or I'm buying a PlayStation. When you buy a PlayStation, I think that you might be able to link your Xbox account to it so that you can be like, the way that Microsoft does for Nintendo, where it'll let you link your Xbox account and do all the things.
Or the way they do with Ubisoft subscriptions like that.
Right. I think that you'd be able to connect. You would be able to do an integration of some kind, but you will not. That stuff will not follow you. Like if you are and I'm only talking about in the sense of like, the console war people, like if you buy a PlayStation, you would be effectively starting over. Like you're
No, I agree.
Yeah.
What I'm saying here would be like only for Microsoft first party games. If you wanted, when you downloaded the game, Ubisoft, great example. You sign in with your Unity account and it tracks your points, right? You can use those points to buy in-game cosmetics. I'm not even going that far. I'm just saying for only Microsoft specific first party games, you could sign in with your Microsoft account and you could hit achievements that would track on their app just for that weird like Last Soldier's game of mind or like
Sure.
frame of mind, that if I looked at my app I could see my achievements. You probably still pop trophies for that ecosystem on the console, but you can track your milestones
Yeah.
through the app or on PC, right? And like, because that's no different than like what Ubisoft does. You just get points, you can buy shit with
Yeah.
it, but that's a different thing. But I could see that happening for a while until you're used to the fact that I just play on my PlayStation, so who really cares anymore? But I think for a while they would want to give some reward to Microsoft people that are playing those first party games, just because every company does that sort of stupid shit with their own account.
Now, so the final question, so we went around and we've thought what we think is likely. Last question. Do we think this is good or would you be happy with this, or do you think this is good for the industry? So I would say from a like, because I'm somebody like I always like following the industry and I like, we've been a part of video games for as long as all of us have been breathing. So from that standpoint, I would love to see it because I think that it's like, it would be kind of like a historical thing. Do I think it's good? No, I think it would be terrible for the industry. I think giving a situation where Sony basically has a stranglehold on the console market makes it so that Sony does not have to do any sort of...
You ever want to pay $1,000 for a console?
Yeah. It never has to do any sort of innovation whatsoever, and no one to sort of keep them honest as far as features and things like that, I think is probably pretty bad. And like I already don't like the experience on PlayStation 5. Like I think like using that console is a buzzkill sometimes. And so the idea that that's your only option if you're a console purchaser, right? Like your other option is obviously just to be on the PC space. But yeah, man, I don't know. I think that it'd be very dangerous very quickly if Sony ends up being the only player in that space, because obviously Nintendo still makes consoles, but Nintendo is doing Nintendo's thing. They're off on their own.
Yeah.
They ever since the GameCube, they've been off on their own. They don't care what other people are doing, and quite frankly, nobody else cares what they're doing either. They just, yeah. So yeah, having Sony be the only player in the console space, I think, is probably for people who are console owners or buying, purchasing consoles. I think, it could get pretty dire pretty quickly.
So I'll be honest, the first thing that comes to mind is the pricing, right? Like we're already in a pricing battle, and the only thing that keeps one around 500 is the fact the other one priced at around 500, right?
Yeah.
But if you only have one, not counting Nintendo, because we never count Nintendo, they move to the beat of their own drum. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. With that being said, I'll be honest with you, I don't know that I can comment on it right now. Like I think I need to sit. Like I think next week I can fully talk about how I feel about the industry, because I can take into a lot of considerations. Because I don't know. Like I don't know what it means, because we don't know what the actual announcement is.
Yeah.
I have a lot of strong feelings at first. So I just quickly Googled, like, what's the percentage of PC gamers versus console gamers. Worldwide, 52% are PC gamers, so it actually outnumbers the console
It's been
gamers,
growing.
meaning-
It's been growing massively. Right. Yeah.
Meaning, if the quality goes down, there's a lot of people that can jump that way. But like everything, the things that affect us directly here in the U.S., those numbers are drastically different, right? Like there are many console owners over PC owners here in the U.S. where this like weird enigma. So I don't know. I'll be honest. Like I think I need to sit with it, because we also like I need to think about Jim Ryan's leaving. So what does the new face of Sony look like? Like how would you handle that are they?
They've
more
already announced. I don't know what
consumer-friendly?
his name is, but he's already been working as
Right.
this new CEO.
Right, and I'm sure he has. But like, is he going to be more consumer friendly? Right.
Yeah.
There's other things like Sony is talking about possibly a new handheld because the Portal is not a handheld. Apparently, it's just a thing that
It's
plays.
not
a
handheld.
I don't. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I don't know. I don't think it's great. It would be good for my pocketbook. Like there is that. I don't think it's great as a whole, but I think in order to give a more informed decision, like I probably need to sit with it. I would like to see what the announcement actually is.
Yeah.
No, I think it could be good. I mean, you say you're worried because they might be the only people in the console space, but like you can consider PC a console. It's still a box. It's a much bigger box than my PS5, not by much, to be fair, because PS5 is obnoxious. But like, if you're telling me the PS6 is going to be $1,000, there's plenty of people who would rather put that $1,000 into a PC and kind of go that way, and just add a little bit to it every year, kind of deal to kind of get it up to speed. But like PC, I mean, if you got Xbox dropping off, PC is going to be their contender. Like you said, it's already at over 50%. And if PlayStation wants to piss people off and not let them have the freedom of being able to modify, whether it's themes, whether it's how the interface looks, PC, you can do whatever the fuck you want to that goddamn thing. You can slap on whatever anime weeboo girl you got on there, make it your desktop, make it speak to you and shit and weird stuff. PC's fucking wild, man. But like PlayStation, you got the same boring
Christian,
ass
have you
interface.
seen his setup yet? Have you gone over there to see what happens on that computer?
No, I was there for his initial setup, and then I left. I have no any federal agents listening. I have no idea what he's got going on.
When I
there.
play Wallpaper Engine and look up wallpaper, the anime box is checked off. Okay, leave me alone.
I am no longer in control of that PC, FBI agent. Please do not come after me.
Reset the IP, please. No.
I leave the anime one on there because I have some pretty cool samurai anime stuff on mine.
It's just a lot. But either
I
way,
have, I have 2 Lord of the Rings backgrounds, and that's it.
the things that I
that's a good
like
one.
about PC is that customization. It is like I can pick a different video card. I can, try different types of. It's really easy to slap, different pieces of like hard drives in there, stuff like that. It's not super difficult with PlayStation, but you gotta look up a video for it. You gotta make sure you don't snap the wrong tab to fucking void out the fucking warranty or some stupid shit. Like you gotta be careful with those. PCs are meant to be taken apart, put back together, Frankensteined up, and customized to your liking. To fucking.
But
find
keep in
faceplates
mind,
for that
Preston-
thing is fucking egregious.
But keep in mind, Preston, if your console's 500, even at 600, right? Your PC gaming experience, like if you're a kid for Christmas and you're like, hey, I want a new gaming console, and your mom's like, oh, you want the new PlayStation? No, go get me a gaming PC. If she walks in and says, I don't want to spend more than that PlayStation over there, your mileage may vary.
Dude,
Right?
my
Like, that experience may not be the
cousin-in-law
same.
had that exact question for me this past year. Hey, son wants to get a PC. He's getting
Mm-hmm.
closer to driving age. I'm thinking about getting him one. I'm like, all right, well, this is what you're going to be kind of investing in. And to be fair, the kid's getting closer to having a job age, so he's going to have to start learning how to invest himself on that kind of things to save up some money for the new part or whatever. But I mean, it just depends on how the world works at that certain point. I mean, you can go to websites where they have pre-built PCs that are getting close to the console price. You can find that. But they're not the greatest ones. If you want a good one, you're going to have to get proper parts and put them together yourself, or, just pay a little heftier fee for, something like that. I can easily see the PC becoming more of a console contender, if you will, and being a part of that console war, whatever you want to call it. While I think PC has been more like Nintendo back in the day, people who are PC fans are going to go to PC. They're not going to be worried about anything else. PlayStation games are starting to come to PC later on. Windows games are already flying there right now, and the only thing you don't have is Nintendo games, which, luckily for Nintendo, everyone usually buys a Nintendo. So,
When we talk about this next week, I'm going to write this down. I actually have another question. I don't want to pose it here because I don't think it needs to go any longer than what we're saying. We don't have any information.
yeah, we
but
can do the Microsoft Week.
I actually have an interesting take of hypothetical for you guys next week, if this is true, right? So let me.
I mean, they're gonna.
Now,
He has the announcement is gonna be sometime next week, so we can record an episode on it and we'll see what happens.
right, but I'm gonna write that question down now to ask you then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice little breaking news.
Yeah. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. It will for sure. The industry's changing, man, and we'll see how it all shakes out. But
Let's wait for games.
all I know is Press and I got a whole big old collection of physical games that if the industry goes to shit, I won't have to worry about it.
I also have we all have share Steam Decks, and I have plenty of preserved media
Yes.
on that.
Yes.
My backlog alone in my Steam library is fine.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, and if the world burns, I'll play Final Fantasy 14 until the servers go down in 100 years. So then come at me.
Sure.
I'll,
It's true. Yep.
So, all right. Great, everybody. Thanks for joining us on another episode of The Testing Room. Christian now has me even more excited than I typically am for next week. So we will catch you then. With that, Preston, you know what to do.
Yeah. Hit it.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If watching is more your thing, check out youtube.com/thetestingroom or Twitch TV/testingroompod. To leave comments and ask questions, follow us on Instagram @testingroompod and email us at testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.